Welcome to the conversation, Neglectorinos. I'm Zach Ryan, and to my left here is our editor-in-chief, Simpsons superfan, and damn hell ass king, Steve Butts.
That's me.
What's happening, Steve?
Well, we just got some sad news for fans of The Simpsons.
It is sad.
Coming on the heels of the awesome news for many fans that it's renewed for seasons 27 and 28,
Right.
Harry Shearer says he's not going to be part of that. Apparently, they couldn't reach some agreement with the show's producers about extracurricular stuff he wanted to do.
Right.
And so he went public with that news recently, and apparently he's out. It was confirmed by James L. Brooks' lawyer and a couple other folks. So no more Harry Shearer, and that's I think pretty tragic for the series.
It's a major loss, and I know that James L. Brooks has come out and said that those characters will simply be replaced. But I mean, the heart and soul of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I feel like, as an outsider growing up with The Simpsons, you always kind of imagine the cast as this one big happy family, and it's sad to see such a key member, a prominent cast member, somebody who's been around since 1989, leave to pursue other things.
Yeah. Well, you've got the four principals, you got the four family members, and then there's Hank Azaria and Harry Shearer. And they fill out basically everybody else in Springfield. I know, you know, Dan Castellaneta does some additional voices, but yeah, Harry Shearer and Hank Azaria like anchor that town. And for one of those guys to leave, I think is just amazing news for the show. You know, you mentioned they're going to replace the actors, or they're going to cast new actors to replace these roles. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know that it'll ever sound or feel the same.
Yeah, and these aren't bit players. I mean, this is, you know, Mr. Burns, it's Flanders, it's Reverend Lovejoy,
Dr. Hibbert,
it's Smithers. Yeah, I mean, these are huge characters. And not only that, but when I started thinking about all the characters that Harry Shearer played, they're some of the most human and like deep characters, right? You think about somebody like Mr. Burns or Reverend Lovejoy, like there's a lot to who those characters are, and a lot of that obviously comes from the writing and the animation, but a tremendous amount of it is reliant on Harry Shearer and his performance.
Yeah, well, I think that, I mean, even in his other roles, you get this same sort of level of humanity. And he brings that to these denizens of Springfield, I think, just as importantly as any other cast member. So it's a major blow to the show, and I wonder what that means for season 27, 28, and even beyond that.
I mean, they may marginalize the character somewhat, but talking about Simpsons without Principal Skinner or Mr. Burns, like it's hard for me to think about what that's like. And the show has been able to weather the loss of you know, actors who meant a lot to the fans, like Phil Hartman or Marcia Wallace, when you know they were no longer be able to on the show. They just retired those characters. You know, like they're not going to be part of that anymore. And so that's difficult in this case.
To our knowledge, is this one of the first principal cast members that has expressly left the show? And you know, like you said, we lost Phil Hartman and Marcia Wallace, but this is the first real exit, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That kind of worries me. You know, you and I were talking about our recent interactions with The Simpsons and how, you know, there's a sort of golden era, but the idea that somebody would leave the cast before the show would run its course. It's, you know, it's a real bummer.
It is, but I feel like it had to happen eventually, right? The show's been going on so long, and they've even joked about it. You know, there's that one joke about, hey, the studios love animation because they don't have to pay the actors anything, and they can replace them, and nobody will know the difference, right? And actually, I think Flanders is actually the one who comes in, and like as a gag is voiced by somebody else. But now that's finally come true, which is super sad news for fans of the show. Yeah.
So what kind of things will he be pursuing if he's not hanging out in Springfield?
He's done some UK television series, and he's acted on the stage in London, and I think that's really what he wants to do more of. And apparently, he just couldn't reconcile the time commitments there with what the show was asking of him.
So we know that it's mostly not about the money. It's more about him pursuing other artistic avenues.
Yeah, I mean, the money has always been an issue. You know, last we heard they were making $400,000 an episode, which is not a bad payday. They have wanted to cut in the merchandising a while back, which the producers have, but the voice talent doesn't. You know, so I mean, I know that money has been an issue, but Harry said that that's not the case here. He just really wants to do these other projects, and the show won't allow that.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's certainly a shame. Well, what do you think about Harry Shearer's departure from The Simpsons? Will it hinder the show moving into the 27th and 28th seasons? Let us know in the comments, and for all things Simpsons, keep it right here on IGN.